Hello, everyone. Thank you all so much for taking the time out of your super, super busy day to join us. We truly appreciate you being here. We hope that you find the information presented today to be super helpful for not only you, but for your program, but also for the families and students that you work with. My name is Von Harden. I am the president of College Access for CE Educational Tours. Many of you may be familiar with us for arranging these amazingly engaging and unique college tour experiences for your student groups. Like most of you, and unlike many other tour companies, uh, our tours are very specifically designed and created for first gen low income students. We take a lot of pride in that. In addition to that, in addition to tours that we offer, we also want you to know us for being valuable contributors to the college access community. So we've asked our clients and other experts in the community to provide these webinars on topics that the rest of you all have expressed interest in, and we're paying them to provide that wisdom because we believe that they should be. So with that, if there's a topic that you'd like to present on, you have expertise on, or a topic that you'd like to learn more about, please let us know. We'd be happy to put together a presentation because, again, we want the community to benefit from the knowledge that you all have as experts. So without further ado, I will turn this over to my colleague, Sesson, who's done an amazing job at putting this together. And I think you'll have an amazing presentation from Miss Elena Parker. So I will turn it over now and talk to you at the end.
Thank you so much, Fawn. And hello to everybody. Like Fawn mentioned, my name is Sesson. I am the marketing coordinator for CE Tours. First off, I want to give you guys a huge shout out for taking the time to join us today. We do have a very special presentation on how to navigate the new 2024-25 FAFSA application from the perspective of a guardian starting the application for a dependent student. And we have an amazing guest speaker who has a wealth of knowledge on this specific topic. But before I introduce the speaker, I do want to encourage everybody to share questions in the comments in the chat as well. We set aside a few minutes at the end for a Q&A to address any of the questions that you guys may have. And also, I do want to remind you guys that this is a 30-minute presentation. So we're going to make every minute count. And I don't want to take up any more time. So with that being said, I'm thrilled to introduce our guest speaker today. She's from Gateway Community College, and she's a dedicated TRIO upward bound coordinator who guides low income and first generation high school students on their journey to college readiness. This includes supporting students' personal, academic, and financial needs. So Elena's exceptional skill set really qualifies her to host this type of webinar for us. So get ready to be inspired by Elena while she shares her insights and strategies. And with that being said, over to you, Elena.
Thank you so much. That was such a warm welcome.
You're welcome.
I'm Elena Parker. I'm the Upper Bound Coordinator at Gateway Community College. So let's jump into the updates on the FAFSA form. Just starting with an overview, the big change is to the FSA ID. I know people have a lot of questions about this. Your FSA ID is just your username and password to get into your section of the form. And it is required that everybody who's going to be contributing to the form have an FSA ID. So even users without a social security number are supposed to be creating an FSA ID. I know it hasn't been working that way, and we'll cover that as well. But users without a social security number were supposed to be getting knowledge-based questions to answer so that they could confirm their identity. And then if they weren't able to confirm through those questions, or they got the questions incorrect, they were supposed to be sending in a manual document or contacting the FAFSA customer service support. So again, I know that hasn't been working for everybody, and we'll cover that later in the presentation as well. But I do want to go over that this is a role-based form. So that means the student is the applicant, and then the parents or The guardian are the contributors. So that doesn't mean that you're contributing money to them or to their college or things like that, or you're paying for the form. That just means that you're contributing information to your section of the form. So I really want to stress that, just because that terminology has been a little bit confusing for folks. Continuing with the overview, the reason that there have been some changes to the FSA-ID is because now the FAFSA form is working directly with the IRS data exchange, and they're getting that information from the IRS to confirm your identity, to confirm your income and things like that. So it's really important that everyone has their FSA ID before they start the FAFSA form, because you will need to do your section of the form. And until everyone completes their section of the form to completely submit it, there will be a clock on that. So as soon as the parent or student starts the form, there is a 45-day clock for everyone to get their portion of the FAFSA done and submitted. And if it's not done within those 45 days, the person who started the form or completed their section will need to redo their section of the form. So I don't want that to happen to anybody. So just keep that in mind. It's really important everyone has their FSA ID first, and you have all of the documentation ready to go. So there are required consents for users as well to disclose your federal tax information. So just keep that in mind. We'll go over that later as well. There are some glossary term changes. So the expected family contribution, or EFC, is now the student aid index, or SAI. And then the student aid report, or SAR, is now the FAFSA submission summary, or FSS. So those are the major overview changes, but I did want to break down what is the changes for the FSA ID, who needs to have one. So all students will always need an FSA ID, but then which parent needs an FSA ID as well. So for this example, it does break down on the sheet who will need one. But just to put it simply, because now that the FAFSA form is being submitted to the IRS to confirm your identity and confirm income, it's who you file your taxes with. So even if the parents are married and they file separately, they will need 2 FSA IDs. So if the parents are married and file jointly, only one parent will need to have an FSA ID, contribute to the form, and then they will report on the other spouse in their own section. But if the parents are married but file separately, and this is for 2022, so only if you filed separately in 2022, both parents will need an FSA ID to contribute to their own sections of the form. So if the dependent student has parents who are separated or divorced, then it goes on to who is contributing the most financially. It used to be that it was the parent that the student was living with, but now it's the student that is getting the most financially from whichever parent. You could argue that that might not change for anybody. It might still be the same parent, because if your student lives with you, you might be the one that's contributing the most financially. But that is the difference, is that it matters which parent is contributing the most financially if the parents are married divorced or separated. In the case if that parent that is contributing the most financially is remarried, and the step parent and that parent also file their taxes separately, then the step parent will also need an FSA ID. So for your FSA ID, you will need a verified email. You will need to get your identity confirmed, and it does take a few days for the IRS to do this. So it used to be that you could just log in, sign up, and then start the application right away. That is no longer the case. It can take up to 3 days for your identity to be confirmed. So just keep that in mind. That's why it's important to get everyone's FSA IDs first. Now we'll be going into our example. So again, this is if the parent is starting the form for their dependent student that they claim on their taxes. An independent student would be a student that is 24 years or older. The student has their own children. The student is a legal guardian. They are in foster care. The student themselves is married, homeless, parents are incarcerated, or the student is active duty or a veteran. So if that's not applicable, and you claim the student on their taxes, they're a dependent. So it'll first start off with this landing page of what your parent login will look like. Again, do not start the application until you have everyone has their FSA IDs that's contributing to the form. I do know that there is a glitch right now, and I did just see that the Department of Ed is working on this. So for users without a social security number or immigrant parents, they were not even being able to log into the form to answer those knowledge-based questions. The Department of Ed has said that they're working on this and it should be fixed within the next couple of weeks. They said beginning of March. So please log in again to see if you're able to get into the form now. The other option is to call the FAFSA customer service line. I know a lot of people have been calling, so it's been really difficult to get in. My high school seniors have been telling me that as well. So if it's not fixed or you can't get in and you can't get into the call center, plan C would definitely be to complete a paper application. And that might be a little bit confusing. So if you can find a resource near you that helps do individual appointments, I would highly suggest doing that if you're not able to get into the form still and you're not able to get into the call center. So then you'll go to your parent roles once you are able to log in, again, having your social security number, green card, 2022 tax forms, your current savings, investment net worth, and then the student's list of colleges, have all of that stuff ready because it's going to be asked on the form. You will confirm the student's demographic information. If this demographic information is incorrect, please do not change it on the FAFSA application. Have the student log into their own account and update it in their account settings. There might be some difficulty if you try to change it on the form, so please don't update that in the application. I do also want to point out that there are a lot of landing pages that have little videos or descriptions of what's going to be in the next section that are supposed to be helpful to answer the questions. So please read all of these, watch these videos. They are a little bit easier to understand versus the very formal questions. So it's just to help you understand what's going to be gone over in the next section. And then it'll ask for the student's marital status. So this is just to help the FAFSA application to determine which questions should be asked, because if questions are not applicable, it will automatically skip over them. They did reduce the amount of questions already for the FAFSA form, so there's way less questions than there were before, but now it's supposed to automatically go over, or sorry, it's supposed to automatically skip those questions if they don't pertain to you. So definitely utilize that. And I'll ask for student personal circumstances. There also will be another page that will cover unusual circumstances as well, but just making sure that you're clicking these appropriately, because again, if you have to go back and change a lot of these, it might auto-populate a lot of different questions. It will ask for a dependent student if you only want to apply for direct unsubsidized loans. Everyone should be clicking no on this page because we want to see if your student will be eligible for Pell. Because if you click yes and then continue, it'll basically end the application and bring you to the end that you're going to be applying for direct unsubsidized loans. So definitely try to click no on this page to press continue just to see if the student is eligible for Pell. And then after you've gone through all of the questions that you need to, you will need to provide consent that you are allowing the IRS to review this. The consent must be granted even if you don't file taxes. So the IRS will be confirming how much you make or that you don't make enough to file. But it's very important that you provide consent because students will not be eligible for Pell if parents do not provide consent. They were very clear about that in all of the trainings that I was in. Everyone needs to consent to this. Everyone needs to press consent, or otherwise the student will not be eligible for Pell. So I just want to stress that. It will ask for the parent's financial information. So again, this is for the parent that's contributing the most financially if you're separated or divorced. And if your student starts the application, they will need your full name, date of birth, social security number, and a verified email to send you an invite to this form. So make sure if they're starting the form that they have all of that information, that it's correct, so that you can get an invite. It will talk about your federal benefits, so it will ask the household and the parents what benefits you're receiving. As far as I know, the only information, all of this information is only going to the IRS, so it should not affect your benefits if they are reported. The FAFSA application will ask the parents how many children are in college. So on previous FAFSA applications, this was taken into consideration and parents were given like a credit or a benefit for having more than one child in college. However, that is no longer the case. I know they still have this question on the form, but it's not taken into eligibility anymore. So just keep that in mind, but there are other pros for the new FAFSA form. For example, for the parent tax return information, this is a really great update that they have, because if the parents are considered low income, the students are automatically, because you're claiming them as a dependent on your taxes and you are low income, your student automatically is too. Because on previous FAFSA applications, students used to be able to work themselves out of Pell. If they worked full time and earned a good enough amount of money, they would be ineligible for Pell. This is no longer the case. If the parents claim them on their taxes and they are a dependent, if the parents make less than $60,000 per year, they are considered low income, and the student's income is not included in the eligibility. So again, you'll need your 2022 taxes or reasons not for filing, your checking and saving, net worth of stocks, bonds, and investments to answer these questions. It will also ask for your parents' assets. So this is a little bit of a change. The FAFSA is now taking into consideration assets of small businesses and farms. That wasn't done in the past, but it is taken into consideration now. However, it's only the equity of the small business and farm, so you can deduct any debts that you have for that. Once you've completed all of your information, you will put in your FSA ID, because there's no longer a signature page. Your FSA ID is now your signature. And then you'll be done with your section of the form. So this just means that your section is completed. Each person that is contributing to the form, so the student, any other contributors, will still need to log in and finish their section as well for it to be completely submitted. So that 45-day clock is still on, even if you get your section completed. Okay, again, make sure that your student has your email address if they're going to be sending you the invite, so that it gets sent to the correct email. I just want to note some deadlines as well. So the deadline for the FAFSA form has not changed. It will close on June 30th for 2025 for the 24-25 FAFSA application. Some colleges and some states have their own deadlines for financial aid though, so definitely check those out on the studentaid.gov website. And it's always a good idea to talk to the financial aid office of the particular college that your student is trying to go to. They have their own deadlines. In other trainings that I attended, schools didn't change some of their early admission deadlines. They were not pushed back, even though the FAFSA opened late. So just keep that in mind. If your student is trying to do early admission, check with the school and the financial aid office. I also want to say that for students that are applying for a competitive major, so for example, nursing is a very popular major. Almost all colleges in California and Arizona are on a wait list for that major. So just keep that in mind. It's really important to try to always submit your FAFSA as soon as it opens. So completing it now is better, because you might also, your student might be eligible for other grant or state aid as well. And now we'll go over the FAFSA submission summary. So this would be the end. This is when you get the results. So again, the replacement of the SAR is the FAFSA submission summary. It will cover the colleges listed, so the amount may depend on the school funding, grant or state aid, the cost of attendance at that school. It'll cover your eligibility, so how much Pell are you eligible for, federal direct loans, federal work study. So direct subsidized loans are only available to undergrad students who have a financial need, so work study is similar in that way as well. And then as part of the eligibility is also your SAI. So again, this was the expected family contribution, but now it's the SAI. The floor used to be 0. That is no longer the case. A student can get up to a negative 1,500 as their SAI. However, anything 0 or below is still only going to receive the max amount of Pell. They are not going to receive extra Pell if they have a negative number. Schools are required to take this information into account. However, it is not a requirement that the schools provide more funding if the student has a negative number. So again, talk to the financial aid office to see how they are treating this. The student aid has supposed to have been giving a matrix or a chart for financial aid offices to review this information. But some schools are treating it as a 0. So I would definitely call to ask, oops, I'm so sorry. I would definitely call to ask if they are able to provide more funding. Okay. And then again, subsidized loans do not accrue interest while the student is in school. So if you have to take them, try to only take direct subsidized loans. Unsubsidized loans will accrue interest when you take them out. And then on the right-hand side of your SAI, it should have some more resources as well in case you have questions. That is it. So we can hop into questions now.
Perfect. That was such profound information, Elena. Thank you again. For your invaluable wisdom on such a vital topic. I hope you guys all took notes and found this presentation to be helpful for your FAFSA journey. I do want to jump into some questions that we got in. I did try to answer them as we went. So in case any other people have the similar questions, I do want to reiterate some of these questions. So Elena, somebody asked, if my child is not graduating until 2025, how early can we set up an ID in FAFSA?
That's a good question. So I believe you can create the FSA ID as early as you want because it's just the login to your account. I do know parents that have had, that have other children that have gone to college, they reuse their FSA ID. So it is just your account login information. However, keep in mind, if your student is not attending college in the academic year of 24-25, they would not complete the FAFSA application because it's only good for that academic year. You do need to redo it every year. So if your student is not attending fall 2024, spring 2025, or summer 2025, they would not complete this current FAFSA application. And as far as I know, the FAFSA application is supposed to go to its regular date of October 1st again. So hopefully next year it will open October 1st for 25-26.
Perfect.
Mhm.
Okay, I hope that answers your question, Corinne. We just got a few more questions. From Luis, what is the earliest you can fill the FAFSA? And this is coming from a parent of a college student for the fall of 2025.
For the fall of 2025. So you could not complete the current FAFSA application because this one will stay open until June 30th, 2025, because some students don't fill out the FAFSA form right away. And so they want it to stay open for in case the student changes their mind, like maybe in spring 2025, the student decides they want to do summer classes. That is perfectly fine. They can complete the FAFSA form at that time so that they can get Pell for summer classes. So you can't complete the FAFSA application until it's open for the following academic year. So again, it is supposed to open on October 1st, and that would be this coming October that you would do it for 25-26. So that would be fall 25.
Okay. Okay, great. We just got a new question from Lily Beth. Does a student need to have both parents if they feel married jointly?
So if it is a dependent student that you claim on your taxes and both parents are married and they file jointly, only one parent needs an FSA ID and then they will just report on their spouse. Because that's why it's changed a little bit because they're working with the IRS now. So now it's who did you file your taxes with? And so it's gonna kind of work the same. If you file your taxes jointly, then you can also file the FAFSA jointly. So you'll just, whoever normally fills out taxes can do that to the FAFSA as well and put in that information for their spouse. So yes, if you're married, file jointly, only one parent needs an FSA ID and you'll just report on your spouse in your section.
Great. I'm loving these questions coming in. Anonymous, don't feel ignorant. By all means, I think there might be other people that could benefit from your question. Anonymous says, can you explain, like I'm 5 years old, is FAFSA really just for low income? What kind of colleges accept FAFSA? State, question mark, community, question mark, private? Thanks so much.
So the FAFSA application is just to see if you are eligible for Pell. All colleges should be accepting FAFSA. The only ones that wouldn't accept the FAFSA application might be private universities or colleges, but any like public, state university, any community college should be accepting FAFSA because it's just to see if you're eligible for Pell Grant, and that's coming from the federal government to provide funding for your tuition and fees and things like that. So I wouldn't say the FAFSA is just for low income students. It's based on your income though. So you might not, a student that applies that is not low income probably won't receive the maximum amount of Pell. However, they still might receive some Pell. So it is always a good idea for every high school senior to complete the FAFSA application just to see if they're eligible. And even if they're not, there might be some other work study options, or there might be some other direct subsidized loans that the student can get, and that's always going to be a lower interest rate than like an interest rate that they're going to get at a bank. So it is always a good idea to complete the FAFSA form because a student might receive like $1,000 in Pell, but at least that's $1,000 that they don't have to pay back.
Gotcha. All right. We just
I
got
had a
another
quick
question. This is actually, sorry, go ahead, Juan.
I'm sorry, I had a quick question, and I know we're running out of time, so maybe we take one more. But just a quick thing, I have a senior actually who completed the FAFSA, and she came home and she said, "Well, some people were telling me that I might as well not complete it because, if one parent makes like 30,000, I think this was a number. I don't know why she threw out this number. She said if their parent makes more than $30,000, we probably won't get any money." Can you dispel that myth, or I think that's a little bit what you just touched on, but yeah.
Yes, that is definitely, I mean, I would always say it's a good idea to at least try. I can't say for certain if that student in particular will receive any Pell because it is income based. However, it's just like any scholarship application. It is always worth a try to see if you can get that scholarship money. I mean, because again, the Pell Grant, you don't have to pay back. I will always suggest and advocate every high school senior complete the FAFSA application.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, I do want to get everybody out of here on time. However, I do want to address some of these questions, if you don't mind, Elena. Jillian says, can you talk through the process of independent students, like students who are in foster care or experiencing homelessness, and their parents aren't in contact or don't claim them on their taxes?
So that is going to be a separate form. My example isn't going to cover that, unfortunately. If a student is in foster care, you're going to have to provide documentation that you are in foster care. So that is typically something that you can get from DCS or your case manager. And then you will put in the personal circumstances and unusual circumstances. So the personal circumstances you will click, I am in foster care. And then unusual circumstances, there is a section that asks, are you able to contact your parents? So you won't be penalized if you are in foster care and can't get a hold of your parents to provide that consent. That would go under the unusual circumstances, and then you would just provide some foster care information to show that you are in the system. So there are those ways that you can fill out the form so that you can still be eligible for Pell. All foster youth should be eligible for at least some Pell. Typically, they're eligible for the max amount. And then also talk to your case manager about education and training voucher program, or ETV. You should be able to get additional funding from ETV as well if you're in foster care after the age of 16.
Great. Great. Okay. I hope that answers everyone's questions. I know we had 2 additional questions, but we got to wrap this up. And I do want to let the 2 additional people who didn't get their their questions answered, that we will be sending a post-webinar email, and I will provide Elena's information in that email so you guys can shoot her those questions. So I just want to thank everybody for their questions. I want to let you guys know again that we are going to be sending a post-webinar email, which will include a recording of the webinar, the presentation itself, and then a more in-depth version of the webinar, which is a pre-recorded 1-hour version of this webinar. So if you guys have any questions regarding the webinars or further questions for Elena, I will provide her contact information in that email. My contact information will also be in that email. So if you guys have any questions regarding CE tours and the services that we offer, the student travel educational course tours that we offer, you can contact me in that email. So once again, I want to thank our speaker, Ms. Elena Parker, for joining us today and providing us with her invaluable wisdom. Just FYI, if you guys want to be up to date on future webinars to come, I suggest that you guys follow us on social media at CE Tours, as well as subscribe to us on YouTube at CE Tours, just so that you guys are up to date with the webinars that we will be providing in the future. So before I end the webinar, Vaughn or Elena, do you guys have anything else to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, if anyone is there, any educator or TRIO professional or Gear Up professional, or again any administrator, if you have any topics that you're interested in presenting on, please submit them. We have a ton of people who are interested to hear what you have to say and hear your expertise. Also, if you are interested in any topics specifically that you would like us to get a workshop or a presentation on, let us know. We'd be happy to hear that and address it and provide you with with these free sort of mini informational sessions to get you where you need to be. And then, maybe we can think about maybe a more in-depth workshop for people who need it. So please submit that. Again, we'd love to continue to serve the community and provide people with the information and knowledge that they need. So thank you all so much for attending. Thank you, Elena, for this great presentation. And thank you, Sesson, for putting all this together. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. And we hope to see you again soon in another session or on the road.
Right. Take care, guys. Until the next one, have a great day. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.